It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world, and we got a nice full list of 8 books to talk with our good friend Drew. How you doing, freshly off of Chicago?
I'm doing great, Wes. Yeah, Chicago went well. New York is right around the corner. I can't wait. Big stuff coming next month. But I make time to talk about the best comics of the week. So let's talk about the best comics of the week.
Well, we do have some unfortunate kind of bad news that we need to get out of the way first. Something I think everyone's been enjoying, Daniel Warren Johnson on Transformers. He went out there and he had an Ask Me Anything on Reddit revealing when he's actually leaving, saying, honestly, I'm having so much fun. I would love to, but when I make anything, writing, drawing, or both, I only know how to go 110%. So all that to say, I'm killing myself and can only go for so long. My choice to leave at 24 is more of a choice for my mental health and for my family than however I may feel about my wonderful Cybertronians. Thank you for the support. So Daniel Warren Johnson revitalized interest in Transformers, knocking out of the park. Not only as a writer, certainly through the whole thing, but the first half as an artist for the first 6 issues is going to be leaving at the end of next year. So we've got another 13 issues, I believe, before he vacates the title. But it's deflating news when you get a run that's going this well.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is, between us and a lot of other people, this has been one of the best, if not the best, ongoing series in comics right now. And he's done a great job writing the series, did a great job illustrating it. Jorge Corona's done a great job filling in for him on the art. And when you read something like this, you can't help but be disappointed, because this was one of the shining beacons of how to do comics correctly. And when you have this news of him leaving, and then you see what Skybound has done with bringing on other quote unquote talents like Kelly Thompson, it has me really concerned for after issue 24, who's going to be taking over, because the second batch of books, they've been all right, but they haven't been as great as the first batch.
Well, certainly not, but Transformers has been pretty much a home run since the very beginning, and definitely in my running, and likely the front runner for comic book of the year for 2024, leading just ahead of Rook Exodus and Conan the Barbarian, 2 other series that I think are just fantastic, but that's how good Transformers has been. And there was a seamless transition from Daniel Warren Johnson, who has a very unique art style that brought a lot of life and vitality to the Transformers. Moving over to Jorge Corona, the art doesn't look like normal Jorge Corona art. He definitely adapted to the style that Daniel Warren Johnson had incorporated already into Transformers. And it's just been really enthralling, and I can't wait, to get 2 years out of this. It's more than I expected. The initial number that I heard was that he had signed a contract for 12 issues. This makes me believe that he actually signed a second contract for another 12 issues. So at least we're getting 2 years instead of a 1-year run. I prefer to be glasses half full on this one and be very appreciative that we got at least another year in us before someone else takes over.
Yeah, but if you at least if you can get 2, then you should be able to get 3 years, then 4. It's like you've established a precedent that it can be reached. You can do it. You, Wes, we were both hoping that they can bring on a talent just as good as Daniel Warren Johnson, a great storyteller who can tell a kick-ass Transformers story without bringing any baggage like they did at IDW in that last round of Transformers books, which were horrible. But it comes down to just getting to the understanding the core of who the Transformers are, what they are as an intellectual property, and what the story should be. And Daniel Warren Johnson gets it, Jorge Corona gets it. And yeah, it's a seamless transition. He did a great job of just making it into a Daniel Warren Johnson-esque style and not making it too jarring for us, the reader. I really, truly hope they can continue the excellence of this series on issue 25, but we will see.
If Image are listening, or Robert Kirkman and Skybound, and certainly Ben Abernathy, who would be the editor in charge of this type of thing, if you're looking for somebody that just me as a reader and a critic who's been seeing the talent that's out there that could do a good job on this, I would be looking at Jeremy Adams, I would be looking at Ryan Parrott, and perhaps I would even be looking at Tony Fleeks. But there certainly are other very good writers out there that are available to Skybound. And I do believe Robert Kirkman will pull it out the coin and actually bring in a top flight talent.
All these great talents working on these books. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to get a top talent to work on this. As long as they steer clear of most people in the X office at Marvel currently, they should be fine.
So that is the bad news that we do have, but it will be another year before he leaves. But we do have some awesome comic books to talk about this week. The real shocker for me on the indie scene, didn't see this coming, Standstill #1, Lee Lowridge writing, Andrew Robinson on art. Really interesting concept here, to where you have this borderline sociopath that has apparently acquired some type of technology that allows him to manipulate different aspects of time and stuff like that, going out there and trying to, make some good deeds happen. But he's clearly a nut job. I love the way that the comic book is laid out. It's all double page spreads on it. Really cool, interesting opening salvo on this one. I didn't see it coming, and I totally bought into the concept by the end, and I cannot wait to continue reading Standstill.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the two books we may have a disagreement on this week. I read this twice. I just couldn't get into this, and just this character. It really felt like they're trying to make him a protagonist, but more of really an anti-hero, if you will. Someone who's not heroic, not really a villain, but trying to go both ways. It's hard to get behind a character like that for me. It's in a book like this, and especially when he's the only really notable, memorable character in this book. We'll see what happens with issue 2. I will give it a shot because you did like this issue. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't my cup of tea, but we'll see what happens in issue 2.
And the art is absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for something different out there, it's not superheroes, but it's got some sci-fi elements to it that I think you will like. Give that one a try. I think you'll like it. We've also got Nightclub 2, #1, Mark Miller writing, Juan and Ramirez on art. If you remember at the end of Nightclub, and certainly even in Big Game, there's a little bit of a fracture of the unit. One of the Nightclub members had fallen in love with the female character who was actually kind of with the other male character, and it caused a fracture. That is still going on here. We have the 2 Nightclub members that are kind of working with the police. The police want them to stop setting people up, stop recording all this stuff, stop trying to help us. And then when we see what the other character is doing, now that he's no longer tethered to his sidekicks, his friends, he's actually going out there kind of being a braggart. And it looks like he might be taking a turn to the dark side. I thought it was a really compelling read this week.
Yeah, it was. And I do like how it all comes down to a girl. It's all about a girl, in fact, essentially. And it's heartbreaking. They're teenagers, and that's probably their first time really, falling in love. And that's probably the one kid's first time falling in love, and he's heartbroken. And yeah, he's going to go down that dark path. And yeah, I do love the setup of this, how it opens with them stopping the crime, recording it, and the police interjecting. And then the latter half, where it goes, it makes a little dark turn with some gang members. Yeah, I love this. I thoroughly enjoy this. These are, granted they're vampires, but they have believable motivations. I'm absolutely enthralled with this series. Mark Miller's got another home run, and everyone should be jumping on board Mark Miller. He's a great storyteller.
100%. The Miller World universe is alive and kicking once again with 3 books everyone should be reading. We've also got G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #309, Larry Hama writing, Paul Peltier on art. The you-know-what has hit the fan. We got stealth bombers dropping mutant cyborg things from Cobra Island into Springfield. We've got a recon element of the G.I. Joes with a bunch of ninjas in town. We got the Dreadnoughts showing up, and they're all kind of converging on Springfield. And there's a great moment with Cobra Commander in his combat armor. That's absolutely fantastic, and a great reveal after that I thought was equally as good. And lots of stuff going on here, almost too many characters to count. And we've also got a little moral decision for Dawn Moreno to make on what she's going to do moving forward. And I thought this was a home run.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate what Larry has done recently with Cobra Commander, especially the past few issues, giving compelling speeches, as well as and here actually being an actual acting participant on the battlefield, especially in this issue. It's like his soldiers are seeing him. They're like, oh my God, look at Cobra Commander kicking ass. It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Of course you're going to fall behind this guy if he's stepping up. But yeah, I do love the moral quandary that the Lady Snake Eyes has with a certain cop. What is she going to do? Will she go down the dark path? Will she go down the path of light? We'll find out. We'll find out maybe in the next issue what happens. But yeah, G.I. Joe, once again, great issue. Clay Mooneyham is coming back in 2 issues, so the game should be leveled back up to a prime status. I can't wait. G.I. Joe is still a must read.
Absolutely, and Larry Hama has still got it. He's actually got a Kickstarter right now. Mounties versus Werewolves. Go out and support Larry Hama because you know that story is going to be good. More G.I. Joe stuff. We got Destro #3, Dan Waters writing, Andre Bresson on art. I thought the first half of this book, the battle between Destro and Chameleon in the mountains or whatever, was really cool stuff. It does slow down a little bit towards the back half, but we do get a big reveal that perhaps the Cobra twins aren't quite as evil and diabolical and after Destro as we initially thought. And we need to get to the bottom of this before Destro can fully come on board for Cobra Commander.
Yeah, and you know what? They do a great job of telling the backstory of Destro because really, we saw it in the first G.I. Joe film, his family's lineage, but we do see it here where they really come from, what they got participated with. pretty much putting both sides against each other, but collecting the money from selling the arms to both sides. And I do love, how Destro's kind of outnumbered. People are trying to take over his company, but it may not actually be that way with the twins. I love this stuff. A lot of intrigue, a lot of action, great motivations, good art. Yeah, do check out Destro, guys. Destro has steadily gotten better. Issue 1 was good. Issue 2 got even better. Issue 3 is better than issue 2. So yeah, Destro is a series on the rise right now.
I agree with you 100%. I thought this was the best issue of the series thus far, especially that first half confrontation. Moving over to Ghost Machine, we do have Redcoat number 5, Jeff Johns writing, Brian Hitch on art. This one does drag a bit in the middle because there is a ton of exposition between Simon Pure and Benedict Arnold, and they are just murdering George Washington's character. They're even calling Johnny Appleseed a great hero because he's the one man that was able to defeat and outwit the diabolical George Washington, who wanted to plant cherry trees all over America, and Johnny Appleseed was able to do it with apples, obviously. But there is a great reveal at the end here that really got me really excited moving forward with Redcoat, and I'm really enjoying the dynamic between them. Hopefully we get some more action in the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say Redcoat is I think for me personally, Redcoat has trumped Rook Exodus, I think, as far as best series from Ghost Machine. I'm really digging Redcoat. I do love how pretty much from Jump Street in this issue, it's deconstructing, tearing down the character of George Washington, how he was just, an absolute monster behind the scenes, like what he wanted to do to the United States. And like you said, planting cherry trees. But Johnny Appleseed, I love it because Johnny Appleseed's close to me because in 4th grade, I played Johnny Appleseed in a play. So I love seeing Johnny Appleseed get to play the hero here. It's great stuff. Talking about American Tall Tales, I love it. I hope we really get to see more of it in the subsequent issues. But yeah, the twist at the end of this issue, I loved it. And what's happened to Simon Pure in the next issue doesn't look too good for him, or Albert Einstein. Guys, do check this out. If you love American history, you love twisted American history, with a dark twist, do check this out. Redcoat is such a fun series and great art by Brian Hitch.
Redcoat is a very fun series, but Drew is out of his mind. It's not better than Rook Exodus.
I think so.
It's good, but it ain't that good. It's not fantastic.
I think so. We'll see what happens in the next issue. In the next issue,
you're
we get one more
crazy,
issue.
Drew. You're so crazy. Final indie comic book we're definitely going to recommend, what I consider the very best comic book of the week, bar none. Conan the Barbarian, 14, Jim Zub writing, Doug Braithwaite on art. The last issue, we saw some Viking-like characters were invading Conan's camp. Looked like we were going to get some type of conflict while a very beautiful woman was onlooking. Turns out, yes, they are Vikings. The rest of their tribe show up, and they offer Conan a deal. They're like, listen, you give us that bear that you killed. We'll eat it. You come work at my camp for a week, and then we'll just let you travel right on through our territory, no questions asked, and we don't have to be enemies. Conan's like, yeah, I'll take that deal. I don't want any problems. He goes and works with them. They are having some problems with another element that appear to be like Scots, if you think about European history and conflicts and stuff like that. Turns out Conan fits right in a Viking camp, which I knew that he would. They come to respect him very much. And we get some really great bloody battle scenes as this conflict finally comes to a head. And this lady, she's trying to ignore Conan. She's like, oh yeah, he's going to die. They're all going to die. But by the end, she's like, he will be mine. Oh yes, he will be mine.
Yeah, I agree with you, Wes. This is the issue of the week, this comic. There's so much to love about this issue, especially Doug Braithwaite. I've said in the past that usually when Doug has stepped on, that's when the art has taken a step down from Roberto Del Torre. But this is arguably the best illustrated issue that Doug Braithwaite has done so far. It is so immaculately beautiful and bloody well done, what he's done here. These double pagers he's done here, they're incredibly beautiful. I think this is some of the best work of his career. The certain female redhead in this, I do love how she narrates a lot of this book and how we see her point of view on man itself, how she does not like man. Man's this, man's not worthy of this. But until she sees Conan, he's got that katra, if you will, the life essence. He's got the Kavorka, as Kramer had. She's got to make him hers. I love it. Do check out Conan, guys. There's so much to love about this series.
Absolutely. And really, who could blame her? Conan is an amazing character. He's an awesome lover, and she's in for the time of her life. We just know that coming up in the future. Let's move over to Marvel Comics, because we do have one recommendation. Surpriser to me, Namor #2, Jason Aaron writing, Paul Davidson on art. I thought Namor #1 was perfectly fine. And, they're moving between time periods because Jason Aaron does need to go back and retcon the origins of Namor, which is what he likes to always do. And surprisingly, The retconning origin stuff is why I'm recommending the book. I think the stuff that's happening in the present, actually illustrated by Paul Davidson, is perfectly fine. It's acceptable. It's a perfectly okay Namor story. But when he goes back in time and he talks about his first love, Kalani, illustrated by Alex Linz, I think the story really picks up, and I thought it was very, very well done. And it leads to an awesome reveal there at the end. I'm shocked that I'm actually going to recommend this one. I know that Jason Aaron will likely destroy it in the end, but he is building something up here that I'm kind of invested in.
This is the probably like the lowest it recommends for me, because it's just one of those things. We know his track record. We know what he will do. And it's just like we have it all planned out. We know what's going to happen in the next issues. But yeah, what he's done here, he set up something pretty cool, pretty interesting, especially getting into Namor's past, dealing with her, like more or less a girl on the streets, telling him, about, the higher, just the kingdom, just being kings and queens, how everything is not right. The imperial nature is not good. You got to get things to the poor people. And it's interesting. It's an idea. It's not original, but it's something. And the art is good. It's all right. It's an interesting recommendation. I will say it's the best Namor has been in a while. It's probably the best since Peter David was writing Namor in his Hulk run from a couple years ago. But yeah, if you're interested in Namor, do check this out. You can do a hell of a lot worse.
Now, I'm surprised I'm going to recommend it, and I know I'm going to take it back and be like, I was so fooled. But I do have to talk about what the comic book is, not what I think it will be. Moving over for DC Comics, we do have Dark Knights of Steel Allwinter #2, Jay Kristoff writing, Tirso on art. This is more of a you recommendation than a me recommendation. I don't think this is horrible. But if I want a superhero comic book that's got some Viking elements in it, I'm going to go to Conan the Barbarian 14, which I think is much better. This is Slade Wilson as a Viking, and there is a great action scene that ends on a panel that is absolutely fantastic with Slade's daughter. But what happens right out of there just pulled me right out of the story. It just killed my suspension of disbelief. There's no way that could have happened. And it certainly affected the way I saw the entire book.
I enjoyed this issue. It's not as great as the first issue, but it's still a solid, fun read in this issue. The art is good. What they're setting up here, I do love how the black and white, the grayness of this world, it is actually a plot element in this story. They have this kid that I haven't quite figured out where he fits into this story, like who exactly he is in DC history. But I think I have a couple ideas who he could be. And I do love the elements between Slade, his daughter, and his ex-wife, fights between the three of them. I enjoyed it. I can go with it in the story. It's very good. The backup story, do not read it. Just look at it for the beautiful art by Riccardo Federici. Do not read it. Tom Taylor, stay away.
All right, Drew. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it for you. That kid is Alec Holland.
You think so?
I absolutely know so. He's going to return the green. Who's the protector of the green? Okay. His name is Alec. Come on.
Oh.
Think about it. Come on, Drew. You're smarter than that.
Yeah, normally it's a Saturday morning. I slept in late.
It's all good. But I think that one's pretty well sussed out. I kind of got that feeling in the first issue, but there's the big recommendation from Drew on this one, Dark Knights of Steel Allwinter. I say if you want some Viking action, go check out Conan, but Drew says that too. Check out all these comic books. I think you're going to like them. Especially Standstill, which Drew didn't really like, but man, I think people are going to be blown away from that one. I do want to say thank you very much to Drew for joining us today, talking about the best comic books and talking about the unfortunate Danny Warren Johnson leaving Transformers next year news. If you would like more stuff like this, Jim and I do a best of the week, worst of the week, everything in the week called the Hot or Not comic book rundown on Thinking Critical Patreon. If you haven't checked that out, it's on the DACA's right tier. I do invite you to go see it. It's in the link. There's a link in the video description, and I'm all over the place here, but it's all good. And y'all have a great weekend. That's all there is to this video.